Welcome, welcome. Special edition of Message from the Streets. Gonna go right on into it. Today's topic dealing with conservatism. And a lot of people don't know that most so-called blacks are conservative in the thought process. Yet, many blacks are a part of the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party showed so-called blacks more favor during the civil rights movement as far as siding with the so-called blacks. You know, even though that a segment of the Democratic Party, the Dixiecrats, were white nationalists. So we're going to move up to this day and time. We got still many so-called blacks that had conservative thought processes, and they support the Conservative Party. And in the process, they had become conservative racists, conservative so-called white nationalists. And some so-called blacks will have us to believe by their ideology that blacks can't be racist. If you have a conservative white nationalist state of mind, you are a possible white racist because of your thought process. And that's what makes a person a racist. It's not because of their melanin recessive or their melanin excessiveness. It's because of what's in their minds. We have Asian racist people, Hispanic or Latin American racist people from all walks of life on the planet. But some so-called blacks, because they take this thing so personal with the interaction with European Caucasian so-called whites, that they identify whites as the only racist group of people on the planet. This is a fallacy. This is a inaccurate analysis. And they say, well, we don't control anything. This is their reasoning. This is their educated ignorance from my perspective. Racism is a state of mind. You hate people, or you have a disdain for people just because they are not like you. Racism is also a part of being a narcissist. You have a narcissism. You have narcissism as a part of your character. So-called blacks, I have examined some of the thought process of, just listening to people that have made alliances with the Conservative Party, and they don't know that they have taken on this conservative mind from a white nationalist perspective. But when you hear them talk, you can't come to any other conclusion. Oh, those people coming across the border. I understand what they're saying, but that's not something that should be coming out of your mouth in that particular type of degree, because that is a straight talking point of conservatives with a white nationalist perspective. And some people may say, well, we protecting America, this, about America. But when it comes down to it, when the smoke clear, those same people that is talking about the people that come across the border, may they be coming from Canada borders, Mexico border, may they coming from various places around the planet. When they are finished dealing with them, and there's no other people to deal with, the so-called melanated Negro will be the target point. And in some of their minds right now today, the so-called Negro is the target point of their disdainment, their hatred, what they want to be separated from, and how they are maneuvering and calculating their laws and building up the Congress to marginalize the greatest threat to white supremacy. The so-called Negro or so-called black man and woman in the borders of the United States is the greatest threat to the European Caucasian so-called whites in America, to the American establishment, because we are homegrown. We know the ins and the outs. We know the police brutality. We know the government tactics. We know, from our foreparents, making moves and advancements through the civil rights movement, through the peaceful demonstrations, through, civil obedience, through advocating humane equality. And these are the things that are a threat to white nationalism. We cannot deny that this government is still a white nationalist government, so-called white nationalist government, because there's no such thing as white people. Once again, this is a terminology that European Caucasians has used as an umbrella terminology to galvanize melanin recessive people to make their numbers larger than what they really are. Because before they was at intimacy with melanated people, they was at intimacy with one another. They was fighting, warring with one another, enslaving one another, decapitating one another, tarring, feathering, doing all types of heinous acts to one another. And then when they found others that they can commit these acts of violence, which seems to be a part of how they operate, they started demonstrating it to melanated people. Then they started sowing the seeds in the minds of their children and their children's children. And that's why we are where we are today. And the thing about that is that some so-called blacks, Negroes, had the mind of the slave master, of the conservative white nationalists, and they hate their people in various degrees. But they would tell you that, no, we don't hate our people. We love them and we want the best for them this way and this way. But the principles that they stand on by supporting this conservative movement behind the regime that's coming in and that has left 4 years ago, this is a direct indicator that you despise and you hate your people, because you cannot deny that this former regime was advocating a police state, that was advocating a no tolerance or no compassionate a state for melanated people when certain instances took place. And the greatest thing you got to realize is that most of y'all is driven by greed. Only reason that you're assimilating with the conservatives, it's not because of the views that you are conservative. You want the money. You don't care about the people. See, and that's the thing. Even though the Democrats are perverse in their dealings and their extreme matters, they show that they care about the people in a way where as though some people can relate to it. The Republicans don't care about the people. They care about the money, the money, the money, the money. And when you put yourself in that group or that gang, that's what you care about as well. And you can't deny it. I mean, it is what it is. This is just my perspective. This is my public announcements. This is how I see what I see. And I don't care if you agree or disagree, because that's our perspective. This is part of the Constitution, which they are trying to eliminate. They don't want you to have a right opinion. They don't want you to be able to say nothing against the president or Congress or what you think is incorrect. See what I'm saying? They trying to eliminate those things. Y'all like it, we love it. I bring you this message of love. I leave this message